Hey, 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 hey. Whoa, 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 whoa. He's back. He's back. My dog is in my lap. Lap. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, does it feel phenomenal? Be back broadcasting to you. I know I've taken a little bit of time off, my friends. I tell you what, I needed to get the fuck off Twitch. It was the worst. It was the worst. Bunch of fucking losers on that platform. Couldn't take it anymore. I said, you know what? Let me have my hot boy summer. Let me enjoy myself a little. Coming out of coronavirus, we've got some things to work on. We've had a little time to spend with ourselves. And I thought, you know what? Let me take a little bit of time for the host of the show, Max Olive. I thought to myself, we could take a little baby break and we could come on in and, focus, recenter, get on a better platform like YouTube. I'm already enjoying my time on YouTube. A shitload. I can't tell you guys enough how much I'm enjoying this time on YouTube. I feel creatively rejuvenated. My pool of talent out there that can come on the show now is very, very, very deep now because everyone knows what YouTube is. No one really knows what Twitch is unless you live in your mother's basement. Yes, I said that. I don't really care. Now, here's what we have on the updates for the show today. Now, for the show today, can we get that music back real quick? Can we get my tech guy on that? Yeah, let's get that back. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. Ooh. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to hear the excitement. I want you guys to feel my excitement. Just in the background. Let it fly. Ooh. Yes. Woo. Yeah. Okay. So on the show today, we have the one and only Danny VanZandt. You like that music? I do too. We have the one and only Danny VanZandt. Now, Danny is an aspiring superstar. He has come out with 2 albums and a couple of singles in between there. His most recent album, Through the Fire to the Place Beyond, came out just recently. And he's here to promote it for us today. And we're going to let him perform live, and we're going to do all that. We're going to have an absolute blast here with young Danny VanZandt. But just before we get into that, I think there's a little bit of catsing up that we need to do so I can dispel some rumors going around on the Max Olive show. So first one being Max. I got this one a lot, actually. We were sliding into my DMs, and you were curious about where the Max Olive show was. I got this one a lot. Someone goes, Max, did you leave Twitch because it's owned by Jeff Bezos? No, in fact, I love Jeff Bezos. I'm a huge fan of billionaires. I don't understand why everyone is so angry about the fact that somebody is incredibly wealthy. I think it is great to see a man who looks like a penis actually launch himself into the stratosphere in a penis-shaped vehicle that can somehow transcend gravity. I think that's a blast, and I think that you only get that sort of paradigm when billionaires exist. And so, to answer your question, no, I did not leave Twitch because of Jeff Bezos. Like I said, big Jeff Bezos guy. Another one goes, Max, did you leave Twitch because you were getting outrun by the hot tub thoughts? That was from one of my favorite users. The hot tub thoughts, and if you're not on Twitch, what it is you have these women in there, scantily clad dressed women, who will operate their entire stream in a bikini. And they will have an inflatable hot tub or something of the sorts, and they will write a user's handle, like their username, on their body in some sort of permanent marker or something of the sort if they donate X dollars. Now, did I get run off because of the thoughts? Probably. That might have been a small factor into it, but that was not my main goal in this whole thing. So someone goes, Max, you had a nice following on Twitch. You were hanging out on YouTube, or so you were hanging out on Twitch, and then you moved to YouTube. And then all of a sudden, we didn't hear from you. We have no idea. You went dark. Went dark, Max. Why'd you go dark? Why did you do that to us? And I'll tell you exactly why I did that to you. I'll tell you exactly why. Because if I can't keep the audience on its toes and I become too predictable, then who is going to want to turn into this show? You don't watch Golden Girls on repeat. You know exactly what's going to happen. But you know what you're going to watch on repeat? Game of Thrones. Because you never know what's going to happen in that show. I never even watched Game of Thrones. I know that happens. That's how much I know about the fact that people love to be surprised. And so here's my surprise to you. I'm back on YouTube. I'm back streaming overall. I'm on YouTube. And to understand, so that people can understand what my real motives were for moving to this platform, I will be open and honest with you. I will be open and honest with you. Can we get the dance music back? I haven't heard that. Where's my tech guy? There he is. He's got it. The reason I'm back on YouTube, and I want you all to dance with me right now. Logan Paul. David Dobrik. I'm coming for you. Heat-seeking missile. Right at you. Corinna Kopp. Jeff Wittick. Vlog Squad. Team 10. You don't hold a chance. You don't hold a chance. You don't hold a chance. But yeah, I'm here on YouTube now. I'm here. I'm having a fucking great-ass time. If I'm entertaining you, then phenomenal. Hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost a cent. All you need to do is click over, tap over, hit the subscribe button. Feed my ego. It's insatiable. This ego is insatiable. So you need to feed it like the beast that it is. So hit that subscribe button. Follow me on Instagram. I think there's a Discord link in there somewhere too. And if we get enough traction, maybe I'll just start up an OnlyFans as well, because I think that would be worthwhile as too. But without further ado, if I may no, I did not just do, but if I may, I'm going to bring on our guest of the day. Our guest today, like I said, is promoting his second album, Through the Fire to the Place Beyond. And if I might say so myself, the production quality on this one is light years ahead from his first one, but they're both still fantastic works. I introduce to you the one, the only, Danny VanZandt. Danny, can we get a quick audio check? Make sure that people at home can hear you.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
How are we doing over there in the crowd? I think you should be able to hear him okay. Maybe I'll throw a little bit of gain on you, Danny, if you can just work with me for just a second.
I can work with you for as long as you need, Max.
If you can work with me for just a second, I'm going to throw a little gain on you. It's going to make it a little easier for the folks at home.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, should sound good now. Maybe a little bit much, but that's okay because we can operate with this.
Can
Danny,
you hear me?
Yes. Oh, yes. I think everyone can hear you. That's perfect. Danny, first off, man, yes. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. It's my first show on the new platform, so I know that
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's honestly, it's my pleasure. I mean, seriously, really, the risk is on your end. You're dealing with someone who's highly volatile,
anything I can do to help bring down Logan Paul, the Paul dynasty, any sort of way I can help take part in that.
Well, this is the start of it right here. The end of Logan Paul starts with this stream right here. That's what I'm convinced of. I am convinced of it. I actually like Logan Paul's stuff, to be quite honest with you. I
know nothing about him.
Yeah, I know that he boxes. Yeah. I know that he boxes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but I got caught up. I don't know. I got caught up in all like the social media starlets and shit because of quarantine. You know what I mean? Like a year and a half ago, I didn't know who any of these people were, and then like you weren't doing anything. You weren't seeing any of your friends, and there's only so much that you can do before you get sucked into some YouTube wormhole, and then you start figuring out who the fuck all of these people are. You know?
So, yeah, that's kind of how I've started to realize that I'm getting older. Is that like I'll swipe over to that third panel on Snapchat where it has like the entertainment stuff, and they're naming off these people, and I have no idea who any of them are. like there's just a whole new generation of celebrities that I'm out of the mix on now.
It is a whole new realm of celebrity though. It's really weird. Really weird to even think about. But yeah, I mean. Do you honestly feel that old though? Because when you say shit like that, like you're still a young dude. You're still hip. You're still with it.
I'm still a young virile buck. I mean, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I don't know. I've told myself in my head that I'm 30. I think for the last couple of years, just so when it actually comes, I'm already ready.
Don't age yourself prematurely, my friend. You've
Okay,
got much
all
too
right.
much talent for that. You've got much.
I'm gonna go.
You got
Maybe I'll
much
go
too
the
much.
Michael Jackson route. Maybe I'll say I'm younger than I am.
I
Yeah, I'm just 21.
I don't hate that. Keep that mic close to you, Danny. Just an FYI. I just
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
make
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Um, but yeah. So thanks for coming on. Yeah, I got caught up in the TikTok bullshit and all that. What did you end up doing during quarantine? Because what I imagine is when you're a musician and you get cooped up for all that time alone, you probably just spend a shitload of time working on your craft for the most part, right? Or did you feel like you were uninspired, weren't even able to like work on anything?
It was weird. I mean, I definitely did a lot of demo recording. I came out of it, I feel like, with a lot of songs, but it's also tough just to like be cooped up and to like, it just becomes like a pressure thing of like, oh, well, I should be writing right now. There's nothing else to do. And then you're not really actually free and like in the mix. It's got to be more play than work.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. I totally get what you're talking about because when I was fucking cooped up this whole time, I was thinking to myself, there's so much shit I should be doing right now. Like,
Hmm.
whether it's like work related, whether it's otherwise related, just like trying to better yourself. Like, you're like, there's so much shit that you could be doing right now. And I
Hmm.
imagine that for someone who, like, I mean, you're a musician sort of by choice, and you're also not a musician. We'll get into that too. But,
Yes.
um, it must be like painstaking because you feel like you have to sort of like be on all the time and ready to record all the time because you never know when lightning might strike, right? Do you ever get that feeling? Do you feel that pressure sometimes when you do that?
Yeah, I feel the pressure of just like, okay, if I have all this free time, like I might as well be productive with it. I might as well be writing. And then when you put that pressure on yourself, you don't actually come away with anything good. You know what I mean? You just end up locking yourself up more really than anything.
Yeah,
It's like one of those, I feel like you write the best songs when you've got like a paper that's due the next day and instead you're procrastinating and like that's the fun thing to do instead.
you're
You know
too.
what I mean?
Well, you're totally right because like you get your best ideas when you're just like thinking so hard about like there's something else I need to be doing right now. Like I want to
Exactly.
be anywhere else.
Yes.
Like you think to yourself, I'm a little bit different, but like other people may feel like I'm stuck in this cubicle. What the fuck can I figure it out? Or for you, it's like, I'm stuck in this place where I don't want to be emotionally. What can I do to just figure this out? Or like,
Hmm.
like there's this feeling of, not to allude too much to your song, but it's like fucking Sisyphus. You're never dropping that rock. You're never dropping
Yeah.
that rock down the hill. You know?
Yes. Yes. I mean, and especially with the quarantine stuff, it was just like day in, day out, like wake up. All right. I should try to do like 4 or 5 things off the checklist today. Like I should run, blah, 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 and it just becomes a hassle so quickly.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So something that's really interesting with you that I want to touch on, and I don't think it's like I don't say this in a bad way, but like you're a small musician right now. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
I don't,
Oh, I definitely know.
but I'm not trying to like be rude about it, and I don't think that people quite understand what that grind is like to be someone who is like talented and has sort of the wherewithal to put out something that they want, but it's like fuck, like I haven't caught on yet. You know what I mean? Like there's that
Yeah.
disparaging feeling too.
Oh God, yeah. Especially after, I mean, we spent 4 years working on the last album, me and my collaborator, Brandon Brefka. Yeah, we spent 4 years working on it. We thought it was going to be maybe a year to 2 year long project. And then you come out of it and you realize that the work's really just started because now you gotta get it out there. Like it doesn't just magically fall into people's laps. Like I wish I could do like the U2 thing and just like
Don't we all?
upload it onto people's phones right away. But yeah, it's like learn that there's just that whole second half to the job now.
Well, it's just like it's one of those things where you worked on it for so long, and part of it could be perfectionism, part of it could be other stuff, but part of the difficulty in being that small musician is that you don't have the resources to devote as much time as you'd like to. You know what I mean? Whether it's just in times of financial or just your own personal sort of like schedule.
Oh God,
And
yeah.
that's got to be the most frustrating thing in the fucking
Hmm.
world, especially when
Hmm.
you're halfway through it and you're like, motherfucker, like I've got such a great idea for this right now, but I'm over here trying to just make fucking rent. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. Because it's also like, I mean, you want to compete at the big boy level. You want to be doing everything at the same quality level that all of your like idols are. But it's tough because they have full teams, they have full labels. Like I have to like both do all of the work of the artist, but then also like attempt to market myself, handle that whole side of things. It's just, and then you're also, you're working two jobs. So like I'll go to work in the morning and then I work at night. And in that time in between, I'm like, shit, I got that third job of doing the music stuff. Like I got to be promoting it. I've got to be sending emails, setting up shows, working on new music. And a lot of times I just want to like come home, lay in bed, light a blunt up, go on YouTube, like, just do stupid shit. Watch like Tim Heidecker.
Yeah, or the Max
Yeah.
Olive show. Now that we're on
Or
YouTube.
obviously,
Yeah,
well, now the Max Olive show, it's on YouTube now for people who don't know. So
I'm just, well, I'm just giving you a hard time. But well. Do you ever? So I suffer from that same thing too,
oh,
because
you and me in this setup, I learned how committed you are to quality, and I love it.
oh,
Like,
it's not
yes,
cool. Like it's not cool. Right.
being type A, yeah, it's
Yeah,
not fun.
no,
Yeah,
like it's not cool. Like it's not cool. And hopefully the stream looks good enough so that when people are watching it, they can actually fucking vibe with it right now. But
yes.
there's the thing that fucking fucks me over the most when I have all of these big ideas that I'm trying to sort of crystallize, right? Bring them out of headspace and into the physical realm. The biggest thing that I deal with is that when I don't do it all, and I don't do it all perfectly, or I don't do it all quickly enough, I've just got this fucking rush of inadequacy that hits me. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the biggest piece of fucking shit that I just wasn't able to meet some insane standard that I met in my head and do it right on the first time and do all of that stuff. You know what I mean? Do you ever suffer from something like that where you're sitting there and you're like, I've got to do X, Y, and Z, and it's got to all be really well. So, and I'm gonna set up, I'm gonna set like a week up together, and we're gonna record a song, I'm gonna mix it, I'm gonna email people, I'm gonna promote stuff, and then that week goes by, and you're like, fuck, all I did was mix that song, and I didn't send any emails, and I didn't record a new one. And do you just sit there and you look at yourself and you're like, you piece of shit, like how did you not get all that done? Because that's exactly what happens to me.
Yes, I mean, in general, yes. Especially with the last album, where, like I said, we thought it was going to be 2 years, and then it ends up being 4 years. The running joke throughout the album was like, God, I don't know, we were 8 months into it, and we were like, oh man, we're probably about 50% done. And then like a year would pass after that, and we're like, yeah, we're probably about 50% done. And then like, like another couple months would pass, we're like, oh, we're at about the 80% mark. And then it's like 2 years later, the album's finally coming out. So there's always that thing where like in your head, it's all going to go so smoothly, and then you forget that life just happens, and like it's always like one step forward, two steps back. Yeah. So I definitely know exactly what you're talking about with that.
Well,
stuff.
now you know what it's like to be Kanye West, living in the fucking Atlanta Superdome or whatever the fuck he's doing right now, trying to finish up that album.
I saw that photo, and I looked around my studio apartment, and I felt very grateful in that moment. Like he is in like a chosen prison cell basically right now. I don't know what's up with that.
Dude, I gotta be honest. I think he's just trying to spend as much time away from Kim K as possible. Like
Yeah.
I just feel like that's it.
I mean, that puts it in such a darker space too when you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, this is a man who's just like recently gone through a divorce.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think he's like giving himself the divorced life that he feels like he deserves to a certain regard. You know what I mean? Because he's so Kanye, and that's just the shit that he does.
Yeah, there's also this weird thing. I've been talking with my friends about this because me and the majority of my friends are all pretty big Kanye heads, like for the last decade or so. And to me, it seems like this whole rollout is just like a repeat of the Life of Pablo rollout. And like, I need something new from Kanye, man. I feel like we're just seeing like diminishing returns every album rollout. It's like the same thing of like, I'm going to do the listening party, and then the album's not going to come out on time. And then I'm going to post the track list like 15 times over on Instagram on like a legal pad or a whiteboard.
It's all worth it though when you get it, because it's just so good.
When you get, yeah,
like I still like some of those albums are just so good that it's worth it.
Oh,
you know?
I mean, yeah, I still think he's like the best artist of his generation, no doubt about it. Yeah, let's hope this one's fucking awesome too.
Do you ever experiment with like the environment and the way that you create your musics in like a similar fashion to the way that he's doing right now, where maybe you're not locking yourself down to that extent, but do you find yourself in some sort of physical setting where like really feel like the creative juices are flowing at that point? Is there a setup? Is there a process to it? Is what you're doing right now?
I definitely will say that like in terms of the songwriting aspect, which is what I think of as like the when people talk about like inspiration or like those like quote unquote like moments of creativity, it's less about the actual recording process for me and it's more like the songwriting process. And that stuff definitely comes in waves and it's weird and I can't quite explain like what makes it happen. Like I know half the songs on this album and half the songs from the last album I all wrote in like a 1 month period back in 2014, and I have no idea why. I know I didn't have a car at the time, and so I was kind of just like locked in the room I was in. And I guess yeah, I was basically I had put like not by choice, but put myself in the Kanye situation. So maybe that is part of it, but apart from that, not really. I think for me, it's just about like I'm one of those people who believes less in, and I know I just spoke on this. I believe less in like the divine inspiration thing that like you wait for like creativity to strike you, and more that you just gotta like dive in and start working, start like playing with the materials, and then as you do that, you just kind of react, and like that's where it really happens. That it's not so much just like some like frequency that you tune into randomly and don't, but you just gotta like get out there and get working.
Right. It's almost like you don't know what you can build if you haven't taken inventory of your tool belt at the time, right? So you kind of have to just take a look at what it is that you have, and then you can ultimately start supporting that with the tools that you've already laid out there. So
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Now, I will say, and we'll talk about the album, and if you haven't checked it out yet, it's Through the Fire to the Place Beyond. You can check it out on Spotify right now. Just go into Spotify, type in Danny VanZandt, as it says right there in his little name tag in the lower left corner of his
Yes.
screen. Go check it out on Spotify, Danny VanZandt, Through the Fire to the Place Beyond. But I could tell in a lot of these songs that they were heavily Kanye influenced, like
Oh yeah.
heavily Kanye influenced.
Yeah, there's this funny thing too with that where like I mean, like I alluded to a little bit before, I've fallen slightly out of love with some of Kanye's recent music. So there's this funny thing where like if you trace the album back when we started 4 years ago, in my mind he was still at like a peak with Pablo. And then like over the time of recording it, I just watched like multiple Kanye albums come out that I was not as into. And I was like, all right, well, when this comes out at the end, who knows?
I
But
honestly got like 808s vibes from it. Like,
huge,
yeah,
huge influence. I would say, like in terms of the mood board, it was like Kanye, Bon Iver, who Kanye obviously worked with and was very like influenced by, Frank Ocean, James Blake, Dirty Projectors. A lot of those guys where it's like the Venn diagram overlap between like the indie world, the hip hop world, the R&B world, but still sort of like a experimental kind of like arty take on all that stuff.
yeah, it was kind of like, well, I'll let everyone listen to it, but when I was hearing some of the stuff, it was like you tried to mix coffee house with like neo. What do you call it? Like neo hip hop these days? Is that what you would call Kanye? Something like that. It was like coffee house neo hip hop. That's what I would describe it as. It was like I don't really know any words to put it in there.
Yeah, I that's the thing I hate too is like you go through and every streaming platform has like different genres that they let you pick to be listed under and like none of them feel good. I just wish I could like list like artists that I would relate myself to because yeah, like those categories all get so muddled up over time that like yeah, I don't feel comfortable calling it indie necessarily. That's what I usually end up saying, but yeah, it's tough with that genre stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's tough with the genre stuff too, and I might be stretching when I draw this parallel right now, but you know, you and I know each other from, ironically enough, we went to the same high school. You were a year older than me. We never talked to each other. I mean, we were friendly, but
Yes.
we
We
never hung out or did anything. You know,
I want to say we were in chemistry class together 1 year, right? Am I misremembering that with Fanning?
I never had her. She was
All
a
right, well
mess.
then I'm
Yeah, she was a mess. But yeah, I don't
maybe
remember.
maybe I never even yeah, maybe I'm confusing you for another kid right now.
I think the extent of our interactions pretty much basically went, oh, I've seen that guy in the hallway sometimes, and that was
Yes.
like, yeah, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
he must be a decent guy because he hasn't shoved me into a locker, which is what I was accustomed to in
Right.
high school.
That was the
Um,
CC standard.
yeah, exactly. But I thought it was really interesting because I actually remember you grew up in like a pretty blue collar town in the Metro Detroit area. Eh,
Redford, Michigan,
yeah,
maybe.
Redford, Michigan. Give it a shout out.
Mhm.
There's like a whole album on that, I believe. Um,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and I thought it was interesting because there's very little of someone like Kanye West or Bon Iver that strikes me as that blue collar tone. So leads me to just sort of wonder openly, did you sort of gravitate to that stuff because there was like this really strong desire for you to just sort of like get up and get out of this environment that you were in, whether you liked it or not? Maybe you thought you had outgrown it. Was that like a theme of yours growing up? Because I picked that up a little bit in some of your music, and now I'm just trying to see if if I'm shooting off target or not at this point.
I don't know. I mean, when I think about the way place affected my music growing up, the example that I found to be truest is just that, like, I feel like my taste in music was most shaped by growing up, driving around, listening to 104.3, which was like the Metro Detroit oldie station, and the makeup of what they would play. And there was pretty much like half Motown, which was the distinct part of being in like the Metro Detroit thing. And then like the remaining half was like British Invasion stuff, like half Beatles, half a mix of like the Kinks, Stones, all that stuff. So I feel like that like Motown pop sound early on, that really bright major key kind of sound, and then the Beatles as well, it's very similar kind of, that really shaped it. As far as like the class element of where I grew up and how that shaped it, I mean, I'm a huge Springsteen fan, and he definitely plays up the blue collar aspect. And like when I listen to it, I do know, yeah, I do feel like a sense of like, yeah, like that's my people. Like, but yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I hadn't thought too much about it.
Well, maybe that's well. I just say that too because maybe that's just me projecting on it. But I always felt like that, and it's not like I didn't grow up like shitty by any means. But like I just remember thinking to myself, like at very young ages, I was just like, there's always something. There's grass is always greener. It's like the downfall of the whole thing. And like I could sum up the way that I've sort of approached life, even at 26 years old, as unhealthy as it is. Like the one thing that sort of like defines it is like, well, the grass is always greener. The grass is always greener. And so you keep turning over and going and going and going to figure it out. And sometimes you look at something, right? I look at some of these people who are like my age and they're Instagram famous or they've got a shitload of money or something like that. And I look at them and I'm like, that's such bullshit because I should be there right now. You know what I mean? Like, and so I look at that, and when I heard some of your music, there was a lot of like, there's a lot of like sort of wanderlust, sort of sorrow in it. But when I heard it too, some of the songs that were hitting me, I was like, oh man, like I can vibe with this because this song is about being somewhere completely else than where you are right now and how nice it would be to just go visit that place. You know what I mean? So I appreciated the sort of spiritual vacation that some of your music gave me while I was listening and preparing for this interview in that regard.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think especially with the newest album, like the biggest themes lyrically for me that I wanted to focus on would just be stuff like, yeah, like trying to get out of your own head, and like just how perception affects how you see the world, like your own perception and kind of stepping out of the own frame that you have of the world. Yeah, I liked what you said too, though, that wanderlust stuff. Shit, I might have to put that in the bio on Spotify. What you said sounded way better than every time I try to come up with some shit.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's probably from our good friend at the AP English Literature Department. I don't want to name him by name, but our high school English teacher was robust with the vocabulary, to say the least.
Oh,
So,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
I'm always scared of saying like people's names on the show because like I don't feel like they want to be like no, like I gotta be honest with you, I'm shocked that anyone would want to be associated with this show. So like if I'm ever talking about something in my past or anything like that, I'll be super vague about it, and then like because I don't want someone to like hit me up in my Instagram DMs and be like, yo, like why are you talking about me on your show? And I'll just be like, well, it's kind of like a compliment, but they'd be like, yeah, but just don't. So I'm always scared about that. I'm always scared about that because I'm a giant fucking schmuck. But
yeah, I know what you mean though.
yeah, but I'll do some work for you when it comes to like naming these albums out and shit. If you want.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have my people talk to your people, and we can. I mean, we'll talk rates or something like that, and whatever you need.
Yeah, well, I think I saw your people trying to help me set up this stream right here too. And
yeah, I've got one of my production guys, my top guy on the job with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got them.
Yeah, you see, that was great. That was
Because I'm a
phenomenal.
fucking idiot with this stuff. I can swear on this show, right?
Yeah, you can see it. You can say whatever, as long as it's not like an N bomb or something. I really don't care what you say.
That's not really. Yeah, that's not in my bag.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think it's in anyone's bag anymore.
Yep. Yep.
But
Yep.
like,
Yep.
yeah, you can say whatever you want. I don't really care. But um, yeah,
Shit.
there you go. Look at that.
Okay.
No FCC, no FCC to worry about here.
I'm a 12-year-old.
So, uh, yeah, you are a 12-year-old. Let's get. But yeah, I mean, so what you talked about sort of in the beginning with the teams and how all these people can get together and make something happen. When I was talking to you and reaching out to you about, hey, Danny, like, is there a possibility that you'd want to do this interview right now? And we were talking with each other, and we were ultimately supposed to do this last week, and then the whole thing got a little fucked up, and we had to push it to this week because we had a little technical difficulties and shit. And like, first off, you struck me a couple of different ways. One, that you loved the idea of being a perfectionist, and my being a perfectionist, I appreciated the living hell out of that. So I appreciate you for doing that. But then two, I was like, how does this guy have like a techno sounding, not techno, but like airy sort of like,
Brandon Brefka. Brandon Brefka.
like I was like, how do you get your music to sound like that? And like, I don't even think you know how to use Face ID on your phone.
Yeah, no, I'm very tech averse. So my music.
Are you a Luddite? Is that what you are?
I wouldn't say no, not by choice. I'm not. I'm not Jack White. Like I, happy to use computers. No, for the last 10 years I've been working with another alum from CC, Brandon Brefka. And he's like an engineer, production guy. And so I'll write the songs typically, and I'll cut like all of the pianos and cut the guitars, and I'll cut my vocals and stuff. And he'll play live drums, and then typically we'll bring in some other musicians just to fill out some other parts. And then a big part of the process is generally just me and him sitting in front of the computer on Logic, messing around with different ideas. How can we make the song better? What other instruments do we want to add? And then there's a lot of time also where he'll have the project file on his computer and he'll come up with some stuff. And then the next session, he'll show me like some ideas he had. And I'm blown away the majority of the time by the things this guy comes up with. Like Bref is top of the line. Like he's just a boss. Like I've been so blessed to work with him. He's so good.
I mean, it sounds really good, like what you're able to pull off and stuff. You know, it was
I
like,
really feel like it was like the end of like almost, because right now we're taking a little break from working on music together. I'm working with some new people, but like that album specifically, it really felt like the end of like a 10-year progression of like he and I honing our skills together, both of us like working on our personal crafts, with me the songwriting and with him the production. And yeah, I really feel like with this one I'm really proud of what we did together.
well, and you get like, you build such an interesting relationship when you spend so much time with people in that sort of like professional get something done sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, as much as you guys are boys, I'm sure, and just fucking love each other. I mean, like, it's got to be a tough thing too, because you've also seen each other just stressed out as all fuck.
Oh yeah,
like at your worst, and you're just like, sometimes when I hang out with you, man, or not hang out, but if we work on something similar, do a project together, like, get that feeling again where it's just like, oh my god, like, he's doing this
it's
thing again. He's clicking his mouth again.
yeah, it's really tough because it's like there's those overlapping things of it's like I found it to be a threefold overlap in terms of like we're friends. That's one of them. Two, we're like uh working on art together. We're like collaborators artistically. And then three, there's like the business element too of it, of just like being professional with one another. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like professional personal dynamics. And yeah, it's really stressful balancing like the three and how they overlay atop each other. And yeah, especially when it's just the two of us, which it's been for the last 10 years. I mean, we've really never had any other like steady collaborator working with us. And so it's a lot of he and I just being each other's worst critics possible. So like I'll show him a bunch of ideas and he has to be the one who's like, nope, not good enough. And then I'll have to do the same for him. And so like it makes it really, really tough. But that's it is what it is.
Right. Right. Do you ever look back on one of those songs and go, God damn it, like, he just wouldn't have touched this thing. Would have been like, do you ever think something like that? Like, is there that instant where you look at it and you're like, this was pretty close to my capabilities, but I listened to this song again, and I'm just, this is off.
No, I mean, there's times where I'll say that almost every record I've ever put out a couple years later, I'm very dissatisfied with it, usually because I just feel like I've like grown past it or like my taste has changed. And then of course the stuff that you make, you're kind of the most critical of because it represents you. And so you want that space from it if you're not happy with it. But with what Breath's done, I find it like I just remember this one time when we were mixing the last album, I was really sick, but we had to get it done. We had already said we were in Kanye mode. We had set the release date. We had planned the listening party, but the album was not done. And so I'm laying in his basement on the floor. He's sitting in the chair working Logic, and I'm like drifting in and out of being half asleep because I had taken a bunch of like NyQuil. And I just remember at one point waking up and he's mixing the final song and just thinking like I was probably kind of at this point like almost high on NyQuil, but I just remember thinking like, man, thank God for Breath. The things he does, he makes this sound so good. I don't know what I'd do. Like, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's also definitely, there's stuff where like we got to compromise on stuff, and like, I can't think of anything though where he's ever done anything on a record where I'm like, shit, if Breath hadn't been there and hadn't done that, like he just makes stuff better.
Yeah, I just got off the phone with him. He said that if you could fucking figure out how to sing a little better, he would definitely.
Oh, yeah, really? Get him back on the fucking line right now. All right, I have different things to say. Clip out what I just.
No, it's great to like, and so the fact that you've known him for such a significant portion of your life, it's great to sort of see that relationship progress the way it has, and like you can move on from just being like two idiots hanging around in the basement playing GameCube. Now it's weird to see the people that ultimately stick in your life and you ultimately do something creative and cool and something that you're passionate about. You do it with them, so that's all. That's cool. Personally, I'm not emotionally available enough to do any of that with any of my friends, so I have to do it all alone. Yeah.
It's a lonely road we walk.
It's a lonely road. Listen, you might be singing about Sisyphus, but I feel like I'm Atlas. I hold the entire world up sometimes.
There you go.
Yes. So I want to talk to you too about a couple of different things in your album that that we spoke about that happened outside that I think influenced some of the songs that. So for anybody who doesn't know, Danny's mom unfortunately died. It was about a year ago last month, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you're what, 26 at the time? So that's got to be like, she's your fucking mom. So it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it was it was also like the first like real traumatic experience I've had in my life. So it was just a weird kind of loopy thing. Still going through it,
Yeah. Well, you never really shake anything.
Yeah, that's what people tell me. Yep.
Yeah. Never do. But like you go through that, I have to imagine that a guy like you who sort of finds so much, leisure in putting out something that's like artistic and creative and thoughtful. I got to imagine that going through something like that almost gave you sort of this renewed sense of inspiration to get this album done that had been dragging so long. Maybe you wrote something that was inspired from that event. Just because when I hear some of these songs, Sisyphus especially, your big one, that sense of like heightened loneliness just sort of cuts through the air. You know what I mean? And I got to imagine that going through something as traumatic as you just described, that I got to imagine that you find some overlap in the music that you'd put out in the time that had happened up until the album was released and finalized, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. All of the songs have been written prior to that, so there's nothing like directly lyrical that's going to be like about my mom passing away in any way. But I think one thing that's interesting always to me is that like you'll write a song and it's not necessarily what you thought it meant in that moment is like the dominant meaning or the correct meaning, because you'll find out years down the road that maybe there was like some subconscious stuff in there that you didn't realize or whatever. So I guess what I'm getting at is that like, yeah, there's lyrics that I wrote that weren't about my mom, but now I'll listen to the album and like they take on this brand new meaning because my life experiences have changed. And so I I read those words or I sing those words in a new way, and they take on sort of a new meaning for me.
100%. It's like, yeah, it's almost like if you went through like your old papers or something from kindergarten, looked in, one of the prompts was like, well, tell me about yourself. You had like this shitty chicken scratch handwriting, right?
Hmm.
And it'll say like, tell me about yourself. And that thing hits the nail right on the head for where you are at 27 years old. Like you hadn't changed at all, but now you look at it now and it takes on its own evolutionary sort of shape because those subconscious motives are so deeply ingrained with you, and it took you 27 years or however long to ultimately realize that those are like
Yeah,
some of the things that made you tick.
for it to surface consciously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
100%. Hmm.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. And you did
I mean,
that.
a lot of the themes in the album are about that too, are just about like, is your perception of yourself like the correct one or the dominant one? Because everyone else has their own image of you in their head or whatever, and it's just a tricky thing of like getting to the real, who is the real you? Is it your perception of yourself? Is it other people's perceptions of yourself? Is it the rounded off version of all that? I mean, that's the stuff that I get a bunch of anxiety over. And so for me, the music, at least it lets me kind of like sort that out.
So do you feel like you have an identity crisis sometimes? I mean, just
Shit. I mean, no. God, I feel like I should just say no is the best way to answer that.
yeah,
I
but it's
hope
not
not.
what you should answer. It's like how it actually
Right,
should
right.
be answered.
I hope. I mean, I think we all want to think like no more than anyone else, but the yeah, I just know that I have a lot of anxiety about like worrying about how other people see me. I'm sure I think on some level we all obviously do, and I think like social media has not made that any easier in the last 10 years for any of us. Like now we're all just creating like these like digital avatars of ourselves and putting them out there, and like God, I don't know how many times I've changed my Instagram bio trying to perfect it. It's like, what the fuck does that even mean? Who
What
gives
is
a
it
shit?
right
Like,
now? What's your Instagram bio right now?
I literally changed it just before we went on, because before it said new album out, link in bio, but now my link in bio is the link to the Max Olive show.
Oh, perfect. So you're
So I just deleted it. So it's just the link in the bio right now.
so you're selfless. Okay, that's cool.
Yes, yes, yeah.
But that's so true though too. Like, I feel like when I'm out in public, right, and I'm a single dude. That's literally not the biggest secret in the world. How anyone would ever want to date me, like they'd have to be some sort of brain damage. Right? Like they would have to be so fucked in the head. And like some
Yeah.
people joke about that. And like you talk to me and then you like realize I'm actually insane. Like we were talking before we were setting the stream up, and I'm sure there were
Mhm.
certain points when you looked at it and you go, I have not talked to Max substantively in probably 10 years. I did not realize that this guy was off his fucking rocker.
I gotta say, I didn't get that. I didn't
That's
get that.
fine. That's fine.
I
But
kept thinking this guy seems very squarely positioned on his rocker.
I'm very yeah, that's right. You're actually bring up a good point. I'm very stable on this rocker, but it's still going
I've
back and forth. Yeah.
No, really though, in general though, like I feel like my impressions of you in these past few weeks have just been like Max has got his shit together. Like you're hitting me up before I hit you up about making sure everything's geared up and ready to go.
Yes.
I've just been impressed, man.
Well, here's the thing, right? So you hit up a woman, right? So let's say you meet a fine-looking lady at one of
Okay.
our at an establishment, and you
Hmm.
go and you hit her up. There's this whole etiquette thing that you have to play along with it too. Like the text has to have like a certain ratio of like words to emojis. It needs to
Mm,
you need to reply
mm,
at the appropriate time. Like it
hmm.
can't be too
Hmm.
quick because if it's too
Mm.
quick, that's the death knell for you. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And if it's too slow, then they wonder if there's any interest in you. And so for me, I'm just like, I'm just going to play this as a gut feeling. And sometimes the gut feeling is like, oh, you hit him up right away. You talk about something stupid. You talk about bowel movements. That's just sort of my MO. And I try to
Right, right,
find the
right.
funny in it. And I think a lot of girls think that I'm absolutely insane. And so, like, what you have to do is, like, you sort of have to craft this Instagram bio to make up for the fact that in the real world, you should be in a straitjacket. That's the way I look at it. It's like you got to make
Yes.
your Instagram as approachable as possible so that when they see you being a psycho in real life, it's not as bad because they can point to your Instagram and show their friends and be like, yeah, but like he's pretty fucking normal on the internet.
I mean, that
Yeah.
almost becomes more the real you in a way. Like that's the one that's transferable that everyone. Yeah, that's the one they can show their friends when you're not there. So
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And
can I
that's
gi-
what
can I give it?
go
Here's a
ahead.
tip for you. Here's what you do.
Yes, yes, I need it. I need so many tips. I'm wearing
You
cranberry
found
solid glasses at 9:15 at night. I needed a lot of tips.
I've been digging them. All right, so I don't know if any of this is actually possible. Like I said, I'm not a tech guy, but I assume there's got to be an app out there where you can set up draft text, and so then when you get the response, you write the text, and then it auto sends it every half hour. You're going to kind of look weird because all of the texts are going to be coming in exactly perfect half hour increments. But maybe she'll just think you're kind of quirky. You know what I mean?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, how is that?
Cool. Cool.
How is that not our $1 billion idea yet? Where's Mark Zuckerberg? We need funding for this.
I think he's watching.
Definitely he's watching. He knew that when I went off Twitch and came on here, he was like, I need to be watching that.
Fuck Bezos. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
where he was at.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But no, you're right. There is definitely like a curation to this online thing.
And also,
Everything's fucking branding now. You know what I mean? Branding. I'm gonna use that in
you,
air quotes.
You
Like,
also make me think about when you were talking about like there's the Instagram you that's a little cleaned up. It reminds me of that meme where they show like it'll be the same person and then like this is my LinkedIn bio and it's like them in a suit and then like this is my Tinder bio and it's like them shirtless and then you know what I mean? Like there's like each like social media app brings out its own version of you. Like the Instagram one, I don't know what it is. It's like a picture of like you and your dog or something like that. But
I don't know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like I don't know. I honestly like the Instagram thing just Instagram just fucks me up like 10 ways. And now the thing is, right, is that I can't even hide behind my veil of sort of normalcy that I've curated on Instagram because now that I'm on YouTube and people are actually going to watch and it's not Twitch, I'm sitting here and I'm literally revealing my own insanity to the world. So it's like I'm just taking gasoline and then
Well, they
throwing
couldn't
like a ton of
they
matches
couldn't
at.
they couldn't see you before.
I mean, they could, but like, who goes on Twitch is the point. Like, Twitch is for schmucks.
Ah, ah,
Yeah,
ha, ha, ha,
yeah.
ah, ha, ha, ha.
That was my dig at Twitch. That was my dig at Twitch.
Right,
Yes,
right, 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 right,
yes.
right, right.
That was my dig at Twitch. That was my dig at Twitch. But yeah, you're totally right. And as I was talking about, I think that Sisyphus song, at least for me, that really captures that sort of hollowed out feeling that I was talking about. I was hoping you had the opportunity. Maybe if you haven't played it live yet or played it on someone else's show, we could get a little performance
Yeah.
right here on the Max
Hey,
Olive Show.
I would love to. And what do you know? I got a keyboard right here.
Wow, look at that. It's like we planned it or something. Got it. All right, so this is Danny VanZandt with his hit song Sisyphus off his album Through the Fire to the Place Beyond. Get a little audio check, make sure everyone can hear Danny.
Check, check, check. How am I sounding, Max? Good.
I think you sound phenomenal.
Let's do it.
Little much on that keyboard. Bring it down just a hair, just a hair. There we go. There we go.
Let's see. So long, Aphrodite, your city falls like backward walls. Hello to the new world. I see your image on my phone. When I wake in the morning, what's supposed to pull me out of bed? The emperor and his children are gathered for the dance of the dead. But if you see me getting high, won't you knock me down? Knock me, punch a clock and check my phone. Push the rock back up the hill. Every day's a new struggle. Every day's a puzzle, yeah. Punch a clock and check my phone. If you see me getting high, Won't you knock me down? Raise over my city, erase my cliffs from every wall, and tear down my monuments. I want to see my statues fall. When I wake in the morning, what's supposed to pull me out of bed? Look out through the window, yonder I see the four horsemen. But if you see me getting high, won't you knock me down? Knock me. Punch a clock and check my phone. Push a rock back up the hill. Every day's a new struggle. Every day's a puzzle, yeah. Punch a clock and check my phone. But if you see me, if you see me, if you see me getting high, won't you knock me down?
Danny, my friend.
Max, my brother.
That song is built to be played live. It's really
Thank you, man.
that song really is built to be played live. That is
I appreciate that.
there's something about seeing your facial expression as those lyrics sort of hit the airwaves. There's something about that you sort of get encapsulated by the whole performance, and that is a song that meant to be played live. That is really
Man,
good. Exceptional
and
job there, man.
thank you so much too for giving me a place to play, man.
Whole thing. That's sort of the intermittency.
I'm loving it.
But so Danny, when you were starting to play music, right?
Yes.
What was that motivation? Like you started playing music at what age? Are you like 12, 13, something like that?
12 years old, exactly. Yep. I've tried to trace that back myself too. Like, what was the spark? I do remember the initial thing was that I had been like a skateboarding kid, and I was really into skateboarding when I was 11 and 12. And the connection was AC/DC because I had gotten an MP3 player that year for my birthday. There was nothing that like I wanted that I could ask for that year. And like the MP3 players were like the big thing that summer for tech. So my dad was like, yeah, I'll get him an MP3 player. And he put a bunch of like boomer era classic rock on there. And the one that I recognized by the name was AC/DC because they were in like the Tony Hawk soundtrack, and it was like in style at the time for skaters to wear AC/DC t-shirts. So I got deep into that, and Angus Young, watching him like run around on stage, just got hyped on it. But I actually started playing bass because I figured everyone plays guitar. If you want to get in a band, you start with bass.
Right,
You
to
can
the
get in a
logical
band.
approach.
Yeah, exactly. And the always cracks me up. I got into bass just to learn how to play the Smoke on the Water bass line, which I think is ironic for two reasons. One, because, you know, the guitar riff is like the famous part. And then two, because the bass line is literally just G. It's just boom, 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 boom. So I'd learned, I maxed out day one. I got everything done that I wanted to do. I was like, all right, I got this. I'm good. Shit. Like,
well, I mean, the bass line to Smoke on the Water, the fact that that was the part that drew you in. I mean, you lived a simple life. You lived a very simple life, and it's very interesting because I look at some of the shit that, like, you know, I'm trying to learn how to play the guitar. I still will say I'm trying to learn how to play the guitar. But I look at some of this shit and I'm like, you know, I really just want to play guitar so I can be like John Mayer. And then, like, okay, well, why do you want to be like John Mayer? It's like, oh, so you can pick up chicks, you know, like.
classic walking it back. Yeah, like
Yeah.
why am I motivated to do this?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like dissolving it down into its pure essence, and like
right.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, okay, like basically I want to learn music because I'm constantly horny. So it's just that realization that I've gotten to in my life at
It
this
just
point.
comes down to animal instinct. If it's either for like sex, food, or shelter, like
Yeah, precisely. That's
yeah.
precisely it. So, is there a reason that I mean, you kind of play in a band sometimes, right? But you don't have any of like your official stuff out. Is there a reason why you do that? Is it because you're so sort of concerned about the package that's put out to the audience and you want to make sure that you can control a lot of that? Why is it that you decide to be a solo artist? Because the thing that you do is hard enough, and doing it alone just makes it 10 times harder. So I'm always curious to hear about those who decide to go at it alone.
Yeah, I definitely think the creative control is like 100% the answer. And like I was saying earlier, where like I'll make something and I'll be like unhappy with it a couple years later or like slightly embarrassed by it. I need to be able to know that like I can put something out and then if like 3 years later I want to pull it from the internet completely, that like I don't have to like have some democratic vote on that shit. Like I can just, rip it as soon as I want to.
Have you pulled some of your own shit from the internet?
Oh god, yeah. This is technically this is the sixth album I've ever recorded, fourth album I've ever released, second album that is still existent in the quote unquote catalog. Like
Why do you do that though? It's like maybe all you need is one set of ears to like the stuff that you're on, and then before you know it, you're everything. You know what I mean?
I think it's two reasons. I think one is that your taste changes so much. I mean, like I started writing songs at 15, and like the bands I was into when I was 15 are not bands that I'm into now. Like, I mean, all of the early stuff would have sounded like Red Hot Chili Pepper parodies or something. Like, no diss to them either. Like, love the boys, but
Impossible to diss them.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it's like that. It's like my taste is always changing, and I have this big thing of like making sure that my music does feel like it's like an accurate representation of who I am and my taste. And then I think the other reason why I delete it all sometimes is just that, yeah, like in this first 10 years of recording, it's kind of like school, you know what I mean? Like we were still like learning how to get stuff done. Like it's nice to have a fresh start, clean slate once you feel like you've hit a level where like you're ready to actually do it for real.
What's that thing then? Right? Like, what's that thing when you say it's have your 10 years in? What's that thing from your perspective that is just preventing you from like being on a record label, going around and touring places? Like, what's that thing where you look at and it's just like, if I could just figure out this one variable, I would have it made. You have that thing that you think about constantly, or is it
Yeah, I mean,
constantly
because
like you look at old shit and you're like, that was such.
it's a mix of both. I mean, I think there's this funny thing where like my last record, I put it out, and I'm sure at the time I was like, great, I need like if Pitchfork reviews this, we're off to the races, baby, it's good to go. But then you get a couple years removed from it, and like now I'm like, thank God, like the whole world didn't see that. Like I don't want that to be the first impression of me right away. Like I think there's still room for me to improve, and of course that like perfect version of me never exists. So like I'm just chasing a moving target. But I think what you're speaking about, yeah, I'm thinking about that stuff every day because it's just like, you spend 4 years making an album, and now I check every day. I'm just like checking stats on like how many listens I get, which is not fun at all. And like it's just like hell, pure hell on earth. And so yeah, so I think the biggest thing that I'm trying to figure out right now is how to narrow the gap between what I sound like on record and what I sound like live in terms of like this new album. If I really wanted to perform it properly, I would need like a 5-piece band. I would need a lot more technical equipment on stage. And instead, people are like coming to see me and it's just me with an acoustic guitar, and it's like a totally different vibe. And so I got to kind of narrow down what the brand is a little bit. I feel like for the last decade, I've just spent time like going style to style, which is fun. And like all my favorite artists are people who jump around, and I don't want to lose that. But I'm also realizing like if you want people to listen to you, you have to have a little bit of consistency. It can't just be like they come see you and you're playing like Neil Young style folk, and then they go to Spotify and it's like Kanye West indebted music. You know what I mean? Like I want to have that range, but I got to push a little bit more in that other direction right now. I
Well,
think
yeah,
too of like,
until you reach a certain extent, I think the number one thing you need from people is just consistency, right? Whether that's with
Exactly.
like a schedule or what they can expect, because when they think of you early on, they're thinking of that emotion that bring out of them, right? So
Hmm.
like when people tune into the show, I hope they the emotion that they bring is sort of like this inquisitive, humoristic side of them, right?
Hmm.
That's sort
Hmm.
of what I want. I need to like sort of closely attach myself to that idea. Otherwise, I don't really have anything. So I totally get what you're saying, because you want to give the people something that they can expect, because those ravenous people that you run into early on are going to be the ones that support you, and ultimately get you to a point where you can do it as a career. But at the same time, who the fuck wants to be pigeonholed? You know what I mean? Like,
That's
just as a human
that's
being, period, no one wants to
that's
be
exactly
pigeonholed
what
in anything.
that's exactly what was running through my head right there as you said it. Is like the biggest thing is like I have this feeling in my head that like people know me as like the acoustic guitar guy, which I love acoustic guitar music, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to just be thought of as like the Starbucks dude. Like, and so I've spent a lot of time trying to make music that isn't like that. And then that's still like at the end of the day, that's probably like my home. That's what I play the most. It's just me alone with an acoustic guitar. So it's on one level, it's probably also just like coming to accept like who you are, like on a deep level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, you sort of have to shed those insecurities off.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but now here's a sort of a follow up to this. But like when you go and you literally work in a pizza shop, right? Like
Yes,
you
yes.
you
Moots Pizzeria, baby.
it's a pizzeria. Yeah, it's a great pizzeria, but one of my
Thank you,
favorites.
thank you,
Honestly, I
thank
didn't
you.
even know you lived around me until I went to that place, and I
This
was like,
uh,
"Holy fuck, that's Danny VanZandt."
you literally said that it was a month ago, and you go, "Oh, hey, fuck, is that Danny VanZandt?"
Yeah, that's what yeah, just so everyone knows, I'm literally the same person when I walk down the street. Yeah, I go, "Fuck, that's Danny VanZandt."
Yes.
um, and like, do you ever sit there and you're like, I mean, I'm doing this, and like, I need to do it, and it's whatever, and it's not throwing shade against like the place that you work at or anything along those lines, but you're ever just there and I'm better than this, man. Like I'm pigeonholed right now. Like I'm pigeonholed right now as the acoustic guy in my mind. In some guys' other mind, I'm pigeonholed as the fucking pepperoni guy right now. Like, does that ever take a shot at your ego? And you're just like, motherfucker, like that's the worst. That put myself in this. I feel shitty about it. Did that hit you?
Yeah, I mean, that's where you get into the also the like, and this is part of what affects what the sound is too, is like the fact that all art is business, at the end of the day. And so on one hand, if I want to be able to like consistently make music, I need to think of it as a business and make sure that it can operate as one so it's sustainable and I'm not like going broke spending money on studio dates and shit. But at the same time, I want to be able to make the art that makes me happy and not feel like I'm compromising it to like sell to some audience or whatever. Not that I think like I could be like out here making pop hits and like the reason why I'm working at a pizza shop is because I'm so authentic. Like obviously it's not fucking that. I'm not trying to say that. But like I guess what I'm saying is I totally feel that anxiety of like shit like yeah, at the end of the day I probably don't want to say it, but yeah, I think my music is hopefully at some point going to be good enough to like get me out of the fucking pizza shop. And so I want to make shit that like gets me the fuck out of yeah. I'm You can see right now I'm like even stumbling over it. It's just like
Did I just break your brain? I
you
apologize.
broke you broke my fucking
But
brain,
get through
Max. That
this.
was a brain
You were
breaker.
on something good though. I want you to get through
Yeah.
that.
Well, it's just like that drive of like you want to prove people wrong. Like there's people out there who like doubt you or don't want you to succeed or whatever, which sucks. I mean, and at the same time though, you don't want to like I don't know, you don't want to be trapped by that, I feel like I would much rather instead of like thinking about like proving those people wrong all the time, I would much rather just like not care about it. To me that almost seems like the healthier thing. But I'm fucking human, and so like
We all have our things.
exactly, yeah. So like yeah, I want to get the fuck out of the pizza shop as soon as possible, man. Just be making this music full time too cuz it would free me up with time and money and yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? Too. And you said that you wanted to prove these people wrong. Is that like how you would classify yourself? Is the chip on the shoulder guy? Is that sort of how
I
you branded yourself internally, right there?
Probably internally, never externally. In fact, me saying that right there might have been the first time I've ever actually even said that out loud. But I definitely feel like, and I'm not happy about this, but I've just come to be honest with it that, yeah, a lot of me making music is just trying to like both prove to myself and prove to other people that I'm as good as I think I am. which
Oh,
is I don't know if that's healthy or not, but it's where I'm at. And also obviously music makes me happy. Like it's realizing that it's both of those things at the same time. Like I went through for the last like year or 2 years some anxiety over that of like, am I just like, why am I really doing this? Like what you were talking about with the John Mayer thing of like, like at the end of the day, am I just doing this to get high fives from people? Like, is that really like a healthy thing? And I think I've just come to be happy with the fact that like it's both at the same time. Like it's like a pure love of music that makes me happy and like that's great. But also at the same time, you can't detach it from the fact that like, yeah, it's something that you want to be good at and you want to like prove yourself through it.
I mean, it's a combination of factors. Like anything
It
that
can
hits
never
you
be
in life,
separated.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. Like some people might say attracted to the idea of producing the art. Some people might say that you're attracted to proving your own worth, whether it's to yourself or to the outside world. But the fact of the matter is like all of those factors that you just listed off are true. It just depends on what the day is and how much they're weighted into the whole pie, right? Like what
Right.
out of those, how much of those emotions are playing into the factors that are making you go today.
Mm.
And it changes daily. You know what I mean? There's going to be some days when you just have to do, for you, music. For me, it might be this show. You have to do that thing because it's so much fun to you. But the
Yep.
same regard, like you want to make it so intensely massive that people can't help but take notice of the idea that, like, wow, whatever this guy does, he is fucking phenomenal at. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
totally vibe with you on all of those sense. And I don't think it's a fucking secret that there are billions of people who operate just that way. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, I think we all do, and it's just like everyone's got their different like levels of how much they're willing to admit it and shit.
Yeah. Do you ever think
Yeah.
that? So then now, dude, this might be a conspiracy theory that I'm throwing. Do you ever
Talk
think
to me.
that this
Talk to
like?
me.
Do you ever think that this wellness bullshit that they try to be on people? It's like, oh, don't compare yourself to others. Don't do that. Do you think that's like big media trying to put us down so they can handpick who they want and make famous? Do you think that's it? Do you think that's the big all the wellness assholes telling you not to compare yourself to someone else? You have to walk around and be like, you know what, fuck you. Like he's got 50,000, I should have 150,000 followers. Just fuck him. I'm gonna go out and get it. Like, do you think that's big media trying to put you down and be like, oh no, don't try hard. Oh no, take a break. We'll handpick you and save you. We'll white knight you out of here.
I've got some notes that we should look at after the show that I've been taking these last few years, and I think we've been on the exact same page. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's big media trying to take us
It is
down.
big fucking media. It's big science. It's big pharma. It's all these
It's
guys, man.
all of them.
I
It's
don't
all of
trust
them.
any of them.
Yeah, welcome to the QAnon portion of the Max Olive Show, by the way.
Yes, here we are. Here we are.
Yeah, yeah. Here,
Just like an hour.
yeah. And today, now it took us a little bit over an hour, but we have broken into the QAnon portion of today's show.
The kids are in bed now.
Yeah. Everyone, just so everyone knows, we're here to bust the biggest conspiracy theory around. The Arby's curly fries. They are actually one whole potato per carton, and they
Wait,
use
is that
this.
actually a theory? Oh, I was into that. You had me. I was so fucking into that.
No, not true. I'm afraid to actually even joke about conspiracy theories on the algorithm on YouTube, to be quite honest, because I feel like Minion watching over us right now who's gonna be like, the algorithm has to suppress this guy. He's a dangerous. He's like dynamite over here.
Or you could use the titles to kind of bring in some viewers, like on Tim Heidecker's podcast. They did a whole week where they just named everything like dumb life hacks. Like it was like 3 healthy cigarette tricks to lose weight, and then like views they said like tripled that week and shit.
It's like true. Like all these little clickbaity titles, like those are the ones that get like the hammer views. Like if you look at
Oh god, yeah.
like I mean I know I'm just like the third time I've mentioned, but like David Dobrik's channel, every single fucking title is clickbait. Like every single fucking title is clickbait, which is like it's whatever. Maybe I should make this clickbait. Hold on. How to grow your penis by listening to Danny VanZandt.
I would love that.
No, we can't do that.
Okay, fair enough.
We can't do
It's
that.
your show.
We have to keep some sort of sensibility on here. As ridiculous
Hey,
as I can be, we do have to keep some sort of sensibility on here.
it's your show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a quote that I relayed to you earlier was, "Hey, Max, it's 7:30. Are we gonna start late?" And I think I said to you, I have my fucking name on the show. If we start late, we start late.
I sign the fucking checks around here.
Yeah, there are zero checks to be signed. There are zero checks to be signed. There are zero checks to be signed. And actually, I do want to thank our first sponsor, BlueChew.com. We actually just got that sponsorship after I made the change to the title. As soon as you mentioned penis, apparently BlueChew.com. Yeah, apparently they just throw money at you. I just got money in my crypto wallet from BlueChew.com. All I have to do is read their plug. Go to BlueChew.com, use code MaxOliveShow to get 25% off your first order. Please make sure to chew on Blue Chew. It'll make your ding dong hard and long. Thank you, BlueChew.com. I appreciate that. Appreciate the love.
And if they send you free stuff, send me a little goodie bag.
Yeah,
Stern always gives away goodie bags, I heard.
Yeah, exactly. Blue Chew loves giving out goodie bags. Stern gives out goodie bags too. Yeah, I do need to.
Let me get that Blue Chew goodie bag, baby.
Yeah, I'll get you that Blue. I'll get you that Blue Chew goodie. So, Danny.
Yes.
You were recording this music for 4 years. You know, all this stuff's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have so much shit left in the tank now that you can just put it out whenever? Or are you going back up to the drawing board and trying to come up with some new stuff, and you've taken sort of a step back ever since you realized that this album is going to be finalized and you spend so much time and energy?
In the past, have always had this thing where the albums take so fucking long to record that by the time I'm done, I've got the next one written, usually. But this time, I don't. I've got now in the last week or so, I think I've kind of come around to a picture for the next one, but I keep debating between, do I really want to spend do I want to do another album again, or do I just want to make songs for a while and put out some singles? On one hand, that seems like the more business smart move, because you got to be in today's world, you got to be kind of constantly releasing music to have shit to promote or whatever. So part of me thinks I'll do that. I don't know. I'm working on songs. I've been in the studio, Eureka Records down in Wyandotte. I've started working with a couple guys out there. I've been loving that. Next album, I'm hoping will be out next year. I just want to, my whole thing right now is just trying to speed this whole fucking process up. So it's not 2025, the follow-up album.
I'm 32 years old. I have 3 kids now.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing is how the fuck am I ever going to get this thing off the ground when albums are coming out every 4 years? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Is that scary to you? Do you feel like your window of opportunity is closing right now? Because I remember I had a very hard look in the mirror with myself, and I was like, Max, if you're going to make anything out of the Max Olive Show, your window of opportunity, it's still open, but it's closing right now. The rest of life is going to slowly start cascading through.
I think I'm lucky that my favorite band is Guided by Voices, and the lead singer of that band and the songwriter, the main guy, they didn't get big until he was 40. He had been a 4th grade school teacher for years. So I've got this lucky thing where the hero, the person who I'm looking up to, oh shit, well I still got fucking 15 years before I gotta get anything done. I'm smooth, baby.
That would be great. We were joking earlier right before you came on too. I was like, isn't that gonna be weird? What if we look back on this in 5 years and you're hanging with 2 Grammys and I've got an Emmy nomination, I got my own Netflix series that? How sick would that be? And we can point back to this when I was screaming at the stream setup, I need you to fucking work right now. Just crop this image correctly, for love of God.
Okay, and then we both get canceled for.
Oh yeah, well, the thing,
5 years from now, we gotta both already be canceled.
Well, 5 years from now, it's gonna be cool to be canceled. You know what I mean? People are gonna be walking around oh, dude, you're not canceled. You're such a pussy. Just wake up.
Get canceled, baby.
It's dude, wake up and get canceled. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
Go out there and support a terrorist organization, for fuck's sake.
Maybe the next album.
Yeah, for the love of God, just donate some money to the Israeli government. Go against the grain a little bit.
Just do something, please.
Yeah, do something out there. Get your blood boiling a little bit.
Yeah.
That's totally it. So Danny,
yes.
Again, not the end of the stream by any means, but I was hoping to play another one of your songs. I don't know what you had set up, because I know you had Sisyphus in the back pocket, but I was hoping that you could play another one of your songs here from the album.
Yeah, I got one more I could do. This is half of the title track. So there's the title of the album, Through the Fire to the Place Beyond. This is the last song on the album, and it is called Through the Fire.
Like this one. Danny VanZandt live on the Max Olive Show, playing his song Through the Fire off of his album Through the Fire to the Place Beyond. You can find Danny VanZandt on Spotify. Just go in Spotify and type in Danny VanZandt. You can also support the Max Olive Show just by slamming subscribe. All we need you to do is hit the subscribe button. It costs you $0, and it makes me very happy. And if you want to rob that joy from me, you are a satanic soul. You like that?
Good to go. I like that a lot. Yeah. Good to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Beautiful. Carried you up the mountain, the sky was red and empty. Carried you up the mountain, the sky was red and empty. With the Lord on my side, the power to live, I believe in everything. I believe in everything. Through the fire, through the fire, through the fire, through the fire. Better life for my kids, 'cause I believe in everything. Better life for my kids, 'cause I believe in everything. With the Lord on my side, the power tonight, I believe in everything. I believe in everything. Through the fire, through the fire, through the fire, through the fire. No, I didn't wanna lose you, but I let you go. But I let you go. You know I didn't wanna lose you, but I let you go. But I let you go. Oh, yeah. Through the fire, through the fire. Time changes hands, God on our side, but I believe everything. Time changes hands, stars pass me by, but I believe everything. As time passes by, I believe everything. With you by my side.
God. The way that song just cuts at the end and just sort of ends abruptly, perfect. That's what you want.
Thank you, man. Thank you
That-
so
that-
much. I appreciate that.
That's what you want, because it's like, well, you went to this thing, I should have just left you there. All right, fine, doors, whatever.
Boom.
Yeah, boom. Fuck it. Just fuck it. Uh,
Fuck you. I'm out.
so is that song, what is that song about?
I mean, if I'm really working backwards,
Like when you
it,
were
it
sitting there writing that song,
it would have been 2016. I would have been in my kitchen in Howell. I was just getting really deeply into what they call the Stevie Wonder Genius period, which is this like stretch of about 5 albums that he put out in like 4 years in the mid 70s. Um, and I was really trying to figure out what those chord progressions were, like what those soul progressions are. And I mean, you can see that one's very like gospel indebted in terms of like the musical arrangement or whatever. And when I found those chords, I was really happy with it. And usually, I mean, for me, my songwriting process is literally just as soon as I find a chord progression that like I'm excited to like freestyle a melody over, to me, it's like that's off to the races. So I got the chord progression down. And I think I like just over the next couple months, I would just sort of sit at the kitchen table where I had my piano set up. My mom was kind of sitting in the chair next to me, I remember. And I would just kind of play it every day because she would get annoyed with it really quickly. And I'd just work through different melodies. And for the most part, a lot of my lyrics are just whatever words come out naturally when I'm like finding the melody. Because if they fit the, sort of the shape of the melody, I think that to me is the most important thing. And I want to have faith in the fact that whatever I'm saying in that moment has some sort of subconscious connection to the melody. Like you just want to have faith that like the words you're saying will be connected in mood to the music. And then I like to kind of do that with lyrics and not worry too much on a conscious level about them. And then I'll kind of go back down the road as we're doing the recording process and make sure that like lyrically things kind of fit into like a theme or a framework. And so that's kind of where, I mean, that's where that one came from.
it sounds like formulaic in the way that you describe it too, which is great because process is down, right? It's not just like, well, I saw this girl and she had this thing about her and I just wrote about it. It's there's a method to the madness, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, a big part for me then too is over the years I'll get caught in certain patterns, whether it's like certain chord progressions or yeah, just certain like styles of writing a song, and I need to like shake myself out of it. So like lately, I've just been doing this thing where I'll go into Logic and I'll pull up random drum tracks and I'll like crack open a beer and I'll just sit there and like instead of me being the person who starts off like what the song is, it's nice to have just like something else there to react to because then it kind of shakes you out of what you might normally do. You know what I mean?
Right, right. It's sort of like jumping into like an ice bath or something. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Shocks the senses. Something that I noticed about your music too. Um, like there's like maybe it's just because we're wired differently. There's like in my eyes zero like lusting after like a girl or something in like any of your. I very rarely get that inclination from you. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely. I remember Drake said it in an interview. He did like an interview a year or two ago, like a career retrospective, where he was talking about how people used to clown him for making women for girls, or I'm sorry, making music for women, and he was like, I always just felt like that was like the waviest thing you could do, and I do think like yeah, it's I don't know, that's never really like I mean I love writing like love songs, and I think like a big part of the pie in terms of like my songwriting is like maybe stuff about like unrequited love or like feelings of longing or whatever. But yeah, I don't have a lot of like there's not a lot of like sexy Van Zandt music out there really. I think it's a lot more like interior kind of like I feel like I read like lonely dude music.
Yeah. No wonder I fucking vibe with it so hard.
That's my I mean that's kind of my lane. Like that's yeah, those are the dudes I listen to, that's my shit.
Yeah, are girls like impressed that you have some sort of musical ability when you ever drop it on them?
Uh, I I guess maybe it's a tough like it's like I never want to be the dude who's like busting out the acoustic guitar at the party to like check it out. Now it's time for like Danny to sing us. You know what I mean? Like it's like I don't want to be the guy who's like just like flashing music 24/7 out there.
Soft.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
no, I don't know what you mean. Because if I were in your shoes, I would just bust it out all the
You're just
time.
busting Wonderwall out at every party. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand what the big deal is. Like, I think
Maybe.
I think it's like the softest move of all time if you don't embrace that.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think that's just me being like a self-hating fucker or something.
Yeah, like wake up a little bit, buddy. Have some
But
fun.
get
Have some fun.
I'm, You know what, Max? We should get into some management conversations down the road. I think you've got some ideas that I would be curious to hear.
I'm chock full of ideas. And then we can get your buddy in the suit to come here into execution.
It-
Wait, real quick, can you bring your manager in here real quick?
you
Your
want me to
current
get my
manager?
top guy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
let me go grab him real quick.
Just yell at him. Don't leave the screen. Just yell at him. Tell him to come on.
Joe,
Yeah, we got
Joe.
we had this guy coming in. We were trying to set up the stream, and this guy. Okay, so he is gonna leave. I'll talk to you guys. I was trying to set up the stream with Danny. And he's at his buddy's house right now because he doesn't have the right sort of computer to properly stream his music right now. And so he's at his buddy's house right now. He's like having the whole thing set up. And I just think his buddy is the funniest fucking person of all time because he looks like a bodybuilder. Looks like he's about to just bounce you from a bar. Were we able to get Joe, your talent guy?
He is on. He's taking multiple business calls at once right now. He's sort of looking out for the future. He's looking at what Q4 for DVZ looks like right now.
Oh, so he's unavailable. That's unfortunate.
At this exact moment, yes, unfortunately.
Oh, that's very unfortunate because he would have been worthwhile. He would have been worthwhile. I'm glad to see he's got so much confidence in the show too. Yeah, like, do you think Joe's gonna hit me up in like 3 years and be like, dude, I kind of want to come on the Max Olive show now?
I think 100%. If I can plug his talent company that he reps me through, it's Joe Heineman on the grind again management. So
just absolutely ridiculous.
He's always on the grind.
He is always.
I mean, look at right now. He's taking these calls from me. He's making sure Q4 is shaping up to be a beautiful.
I think he's playing Roblox on his phone. If I had to take a guess.
He's laying on the couch watching us right now.
Yeah, I think at least if he's still watching, that's phenomenal. If he's still watching, that's phenomenal.
He's making sure that I haven't canceled myself yet. That the brand is still strong.
Well,
I'm not media trained.
Just by coming on the show, you've canceled yourself. I hope you know that.
Fair enough.
Well, Danny, my friend, you have showcased your talent here. You have opened up a little bit. I will hold you to this, that the first time you ever mentioned that you had that chip on your shoulder and you had the desire to prove people wrong was right here on the Max Olive show.
I'm just seeing now that like there's going to be the title of the segment. It's like VanZandt admits to huge chip on shoulder. Yeah,
so it'll be something like that. It'll be something like that. But my friend, you've said it all. Where can everyone find your stuff? And if you want to play one last tune, you can. If you don't, I don't really mind either. But it's your show right now. Where can they find you? How can they listen to more DVZ? How can they support you?
If you want to support me, and Max, thank you so much for having me on the show. I mean, this has just been a blast. I would say check out DannyVanZandt.com. We've got all the show dates coming up on there. I'm going to be playing Hamtramck Music Fest this upcoming Saturday. Saturday, August 7th, 7:45 at Granny Chandelier. DannyVanZandt.com. You know, the music's everywhere. It's Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp, YouTube. So if you can't get past one of those paywalls, baby, it is on YouTube right here, right where we are right now.
That's right. I will make sure that when this hits YouTube video, I will make sure to link all of your stuff down below. Danny, thank you so much for being so gracious with your time and dealing with the late start that we had to, and being the first guest on the YouTube Max Olive show as we scorn Twitch to oblivion.
Max, I'm honored. Thank you so much, man, for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on, my friend. If you want to stick around in the OBS for a hot second, we'll chop it up for a hot second after this.
I would love to. Hell yeah.
All right. Well, my good friends, my lovers of all things internet media, you uncancelable connoisseurs of consumption. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Max Olive Show. Thank you so much for embracing my return. Thank you so much to Danny VanZandt for, the guy is absolute blast. He's got this thing that I think is going to take off really soon. And if he doesn't do it, someone will, and you'll be like, I'm thinking back to that time where I heard the Danny VanZandt style of music. So thank you guys so much. We are going, the usual schedule is we're going to stream Monday and Wednesday. We do not have a Wednesday stream, so check us out a week from today. And as always, you should subscribe to the YouTube channel. In my YouTube channel, you will see various links to my Instagram, my merch store. If you want to support in any type of way, throw a follow on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, buy a fucking t-shirt, for God's sakes. Let's take it to those fuckers at Twitch. Yes, go buy Danny's t-shirts as well. In the meantime, smell you later. Peace and love. This is the Max Olive Show. I'm going to throw on that song that I was dancing to at the beginning because I just feel like that's right at this point. So let me give you a little bit of that shebang. Oh. That's my dog. That's my dog. I gotta go. He's gonna break the computer. I'll see ya.